guys. Today I'm going to be going over how to fill out this assignment. There's a lot of writing and a lot of instructions on here, but I'm going to explain it all to you. So basically the goal of this project is so that in the end you have a chart that's completely filled out with custom mixed colors, so that when you move on to creating your candy colored pencil project and you're trying to accurately color match, you'll be able to reference this color chart and find out what colors you need to mix to get the color you desire. So before we even start, first thing I want you to do is make sure you write your name and hour on the top, of course. And then I want you to practice coloring like we did on our prior handout. So we talked a little bit about not coloring in lines, but coloring in small circles. And that's going to be super important for this handout and for your candy colored pencil project. Also, coloring super lightly is going to be super important for this one too. And I'm going to talk to you about why. So I would love for you guys to start off in this little practice section, just trying to color in this box using kind of like scribbly lines, maybe like we were first taught to color with colored pencil, just picking the colored pencil up and coloring in lines. And what I notice when I color in lines is that I sometimes have a hard time staying within the boundaries and then also getting into the small corners. So I have a lot more success if I color in small oval or circular motions. It helps me to color lighter. It also helps me to get into smaller sections because I can change up the direction of my circles or squiggles a lot with it being less noticeable. When you color in lines, whenever you change directions, it's really noticeable. You can see where you have changed directions when coloring, but when you're using small circular motions, everything kind of tangles together and it's pretty hard to see when you've switched directions when coloring, so you get just a more even and consistent look overall. So right now you can notice the difference in the textures of these two and the lightness. And again, coloring lightly is super important because our goal is to mix and layer to create custom colors. But with colored pencil, if we color too darkly too soon or with too much pressure too soon, we can't color anything on top of it to mix colors. So say I had what I had right now and I wanted to add yellow on top of this. Watch how difficult it is for me to add yellow to the top of this one because I already pressed so hard. The yellow doesn't really want to layer on this. But this one right here where I've pressed really lightly, if I go in with my yellow, there is still room for me to layer these colors because I pressed so lightly. And you can see the difference between these two colors, right? This has a much easier mix. I'm having an easier time layering and mixing these colors because I colored in circles and because I colored really lightly with light pressure, like I wasn't pressing down hard with my hand. So those are two things to keep in mind as you're filling out this handout for sure, and then as you move on to your candy colored pencil project. So coloring in circles, coloring lightly. Remember those two things. Okay. There are instructions down at the bottom here for how we're going to write in our colors. So we're starting off with writing the primary and the secondary colors down the side here. So if we use our little cheat sheet from yesterday, I know that my primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. These are called primary colors because they're considered the most important colors, the colors that come first, and we use them to mix up all other colors. So those are your primary. I'm going to do them in rainbow order. So I'm going to put red up here, and you'll notice it's labeled P for primary. I'm going to find my second spot here. I'm going to do this one as yellow. And then lastly, I'm going to put blue here. So those are all my primary colors. And then our secondary colors are going to be the colors, they're like one step up from our primary colors. So we have green, orange, and violet. And these are colors that are created when we mix two primaries. So when we mix blue and yellow, we get green. When we mix red and yellow, we get orange. Blue and red, we get violet or purple. So secondary colors are colors that are created by mixing two primaries. So secondary, I mix red and yellow, I'm gonna get orange. I mix yellow and I mix blue, I get green. There we go, I got it. Okay, cool, we're in the clear. And then finally, when I mix red and I mix blue, I get secondary color violet, which is also called purple. They're the same thing. Violet and purple are the same. And then we have another type of color family called intermediate colors, or sometimes called tertiary colors. So these are the colors that are created when we mix a primary color and a secondary color. And they don't get a new special name. They are just the names of the colors that they've mixed. But special little rule here, all tertiary or intermediate colors have the primary color listed first. And the easy way that you can remember that is primary translates to like first. So primary colors, they're the most important. They're always going to be listed first. So right here, red-orange is simply called red-orange. This intermediate color is going to be called yellow-orange, again, because yellow is the primary color. Here we've got yellow-green. Here we have, blue-green. Now the reason I didn't have this labeled as an intermediate color is because we don't actually have a blue-green pencil. Crayola, unfortunately, does not make one in our packs. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm actually going to put a little star next to it so that I remember that this is a color I'm going to have to layer to create. Blue and violet, normally we would get blue-violet, but again, Crayola doesn't give us a blue-violet colored pencil. Normally I would have you just create that on your own, but for the sake of time, I don't want to make you create blue-green and blue-violet, so we're just going to substitute right here for sky blue, which is a different color that Crayola gives to us. So this is not an intermediate color, sky blue is not, but we're just going to use it for this activity. And then black down here, which is not a primary, secondary, or intermediate color, but I just want to have you guys see what it looks like when you mix black into these. So I've written the primary and secondary colors down the side. I'm going to wait on across the top for right now, but it's basically going to be the same lineup I have here, except ending in brown instead of black. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start filling in each of these rows, remembering to color lightly. And then I'll show you the next step when we're done with that. So I'm making sure to really read my colored pencils. I want to make sure that I'm using the correct color. So when I pick up this one that looks like red, it says red-orange. So I need to be really careful about that. This is not red, even though it looks like it. So I'm not coloring this section in red. This would be my red-orange pencil. So I'm going to color in this entire row. And I'm going to remember to have patience. I'm going to color lightly. And I'm going to color in small, circular, or oval motions. I might need to layer up some paper under mine because I'm working on a wood table, so the texture's a little weird. And again, it's really important that I color lightly because eventually I'm going to be layering other colors on top of this. So I want to make sure that I'm not pressing too hard to prevent layering. And then I would just go and I would find my colored pencils. I'd read them, right? These two look really similar, so I want to make sure I'm using the right one. This one says yellow-orange. This one says orange. So I would make sure that I color those in the correct spots, right? Coloring orange, and I'd color this entire row. Then I would color with yellow-orange, and I would be coloring the entire row all the way down. So you're going to do that for all of these. Again, blue-green is the only one that you're going to have to custom mix. So I would suggest, finding your blue and green, starting with a super, super light layer of either of those colors because we're going to be doing extra layering on here. So super light layer of blue. super light layer of green on top of it so that I have intermediate color blue-green. I'm not going to sit here and make you wait while I color this entire thing. So I have an example here where I have already colored every single row. And you'll notice that I checked them off as I completed them because this can get confusing really quick once you start going in and layering colors. So I have done every single row. I think that's probably your best option. I wouldn't suggest coloring one row and then coloring a column because again, it's going to get confusing super quick. So I color all of my rows and I've checked them off. I know that my rows are done. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to label these sections up here the same way that I did these ones. So I have red, red, orange, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue. This is sky blue. I'm going to put an I here for intermediate, but starring that one to remember that I need to make that one specially. Violet or purple, and then brown. I'll put a star next to my sky blue too because that one's special. And then what I'm going to do, and you can see that I've already started to do it here and here, I'm going to start layering these colors across now. So I'm filling the entire row. I'm not just doing like this box. I'm going to color orange the entire way down. And I'm going to check them off as I go as well because again, it can start to get really confusing. So I know that my next one that I need to do here is orange. So I am finding my orange colored pencil. And then again, using light pressure, I'm just going to go in with my circular motions. And on top of all of these colors that are already here existing, I'm just going to layer orange. And as I layer orange, I can see those colors starting to change, making some custom colors here. And they might look pretty similar to the row over because we used red orange, which obviously has orange in it. So they're going to be just a touch different from the red orange. Maybe not drastically, but there will be super slight differences. So I went in and layered orange on top of all of these. And then my final step would be to blend these together because you can see it's kind of grainy right now. I really want to make a nice smooth new color. So I'm going to use the colorless blender. That's just what I prefer. But you could use white or the rubbing alcohol like I showed yesterday. And then I'm just going to use my colorless blender to individually blend each little square here so that I get a really clear picture of what that new custom color looks like. I'm using hard pressure this time because I'm done mixing. I'm trying to finalize this, okay? And then I could check this off, and then I would just continue going down these. Technically, they were columns to start, but once I've turned this, now they're rows, right? Rows go horizontally, columns go vertically. So I would just continue to find my colored pencils here and color across. So yellow, orange would be next. I'd find my yellow, orange colored pencil, and I would color all the way across, and then use one of my blending or burnishing tools to mix those up really nicely. And then in the end, you have a custom color chart that you can use to help you color match. So when you are trying to match a color that you're drawing, you can hold it up to your chart and say, okay, hey, which is the best fit here? What did I use to create that color? So this is a really nice tool to keep and hold on to help you color match correctly. All right, and that's it for this video.